All right, welcome to another great ride. We're gonna do 4 hours and on the gravel bike, and we've already ridden through some mud, so the bike's already dirty, unfortunately. And I'm gonna show you this here in a second. And also got my remote so I can pause and record. Got 2 hours fuel, 2 hours of fuel, and then water. I got a Camelback on, got extra water in there. This is a Vast magnesium bike. And then my contraption I've rigged up is when you ride on the feeder road, the access roads of the highways around here, there's no traffic on them, which is awesome, but the traffic next to the road is always picking up the radar and setting it off. So I've gorilla taped an expired credit card to this thing to try to block it from picking up cars from the left. So we're gonna see how that goes. And we're about to go down some muddy, nasty stuff. And there could be a lot of that mixed in. And we'll just see how we do, all right? And the wind's out of the north, which is unusual for here. And it's gonna make it overcast today. And also we're playing, I live where Texas A&M is, and we're playing Notre Dame this afternoon, evening. I'm not sure what time the game starts, but so we got to be careful. So gravel biking is actually a pretty good idea. So stay off the roads as much as possible. And let's go. Here's how I do the pause. I just do this. All right. Right after I turned off the camera, Kai went by on this paved road right here. That was kind of funny. And let's see what else is new. Well, I've got the culprit aero bar pads. We're going to test these out on the gravel. Got a car back. So it's definitely picking up cars coming up behind me. It's going to be technical here. There's a washout on this little section. I wonder if underbiking, which is gravel biking on mountain bike trails, actually makes you a better mountain biker. Got a couple dogs. How's it going?
Very well.
Oh, it's fine. Hi.
Hi.
I don't know what I am either sometimes. So I am wearing, I have a personal thing, a safety thing. I do not like wearing dark kits and riding dark bikes. I think it's a really good way to get hit. There's a trail runner up ahead. This subdivision has awesome trails for trail running. Mountain biking is kind of sketchy, but the trail running is awesome. I'm running about 30 PSI in the front, maybe 32, and probably 40 in the rear. I have different size tires. There's a bunch of people out today. Whatever you do, don't get over it. It's cool. And oh, we're going to talk about training slow to be fast and slow living and slow working. And the upsides of that, a couple downsides. Mine's regional, my downside. But, oh yeah, dude, my right rib still hurts from the crash. I've got an ingrown hair on the outside of my right leg, on the thigh, that is a boil and just brutal, hurts. And I got a little one from my mountain bike crash on the underside of my right forearm. So I got to be delicate getting into the aero bars. And then once I find a spot, I'm good. Because they are so big. And they're made by Culprit. You can do long-term review. Kai's on his road bike, so we're not gonna see him today unless he catches up with me somewhere. He kind of does that. And standing. And a little swoop down here. Woo. Use the momentum of the bike, of the body. It does feel like we got a headwind, but it should be coming from the northeast. I got the improved mic muffs, so sound should be a little bit better. Still need to tinker with that. Somebody gave me a supportive comment on that yeah, just keep trying. And I really appreciated that. Oh, and the videos have gotten popular a little bit, so it's kind of nice. And then if you're doing a YouTube channel, you need to do shorts. If you want to monetize, they want you to do shorts. And I'm like, I already posted to Instagram. And it's like, yeah, it's a different company. And I'm like, oh yeah. So I made a short out of the, where I fell over mountain biking, fell over backwards and then saw an alien. If you don't know what that is, go to Zen Endurance on YouTube and check it out. And then also on my triathlon bike, I've snapped the chain twice. First time was legit, you know, and then the second time was me probably not snapping the pin perfectly all the way through, and then it eventually pops. But if your chain's too short, you run the risk, I assume, of the derailleur getting shoved up into the cassette or something like that. And that's an Ultegra Di2 derailleur on my tri-bike. So we're riding this bike today. I might take the tri-bike in to get it worked on, to get a new chain put on, and that will require degreasing the packing grease of the stuff that's on the chain. That stuff's bad. They could grease the chain correctly or wax it and then sell it. I mean, some companies do. They sell pre-waxed chain, I guess. Charge way too much money for it. But anyway, Silka makes chemicals that will strip the grease off of the chain, the packing grease, and it actually chemically turns it. It doesn't just strip it, it turns it into wax. So cool what we can do with chemicals these days. So that little rough section right there, really good example of why as fat a front tire as you can get. This bike will fit a 50, but not if there's mud. So I've got a 47 Pathfinder on it, Pathfinder Pro. And the biggest I can fit in the rear is a 42. I can fit a 48 if I put a 650 in, and I've done that before. If I'm gonna do a really sandy race, I'll throw the 650 wheel just in the back put a 48 Rambler on it or something. And I got a fat tire. Then I got lower gearing too, because it's effectively a smaller wheel. There's another runner. Looks like we got some construction drama up ahead. Oh, but looking at my tri-bike, a specialized Trek Speed Concept, it is got huge clearance in the front for a fatter tire. I think 25, maybe 26 is as big as I could go in the rear. But dude, that thing might take a 32 in the front, even though it's a 2015. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put a fatter tire on the front of that thing, just like on a training wheel. Got a little bit of slow going today. So the rain does make it a little bit softer. So I'm gonna go in and be like, well, it's a Trek shop, so all they sell is Bontrager wheels. Bontrager wheels are not known for being fast. So I might buy a GP 5000 and I might convert the front wheel to tubeless. And then I don't have to worry about pinch flats anymore. It's not a tubeless rim, and then it's, you're running, it's a little risky. They're not mechanically like designed. They're designed to have a tube press up against the walls of the rim. It's a little bit different than having a tubeless tire kind of pulling against the rim. There's a small chance you might have a rim failure. Does it actually happen? I don't know. Oh, the palms of my hand hurt. I think from riding on the hoods, the bullhorns on my tri-bike the other day. All right, we're at the end of this segment. I think we've covered the intro. Here comes a car, so I'm going to pause as we head into the headwind. Or let's see. Yeah, it's a little headwindy. Okay, we'll be right back. Oh wait, while we do it, we're heading into a headwind. Gonna get in these big fat aero bar pads. Oh, yeah. I was joking with Kai, I could eat a ham sandwich off these things like a lunch tray. So nice. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, we're heading on to some single track. It is very, well, it's flat mostly, but if it gets wet, it gets slick. And gravel tires are not particularly knobby, so we will do it right. Watch the ground. Like, see, if this was wet, it would be like ice right here in front of us. Looks okay. A little wet, damp spot there. When I took my bike in to get it worked on, to get the pads moved out, they were so, let's say, enthused. They're the opposite of enthused, of how rusted the bolts were on my old elbow pads. I think they were just in a state of shock and confusion, and they forgot to fix my rear brake, which is something that I need done desperately. So here I am again, riding with just a front brake, and the lesson is check your crap before you leave a bike shop. It would have been really easy to do. Just pull on the lever. Great bike shop though. It's just people, you know. Okay. Picking up a little bit of headwind here. I'm wondering if I should talk about the training slow and living slow just yet. It's coming from that way. Very important as a cyclist to know which way the wind's coming from. I use Weather Underground, the 10-day forecast, and it has the wind direction towards the bottom of the page for days, and how much from the northeast at 15 miles an hour. Got to go through these narrow little cutouts for horses or something. Well, for something. Anyway. Okay, what I'm going to do is turn off the recorder to save battery, because we're going to be riding into a headwind for a while. And we'll pick up when I got a nice tailwind. How about that? Cool. Be right back. All right, I just drove down a feeder road. We'll get another video in a second. And my credit card blocker thing, whatever you decide to use, works. Oh, it works. We'll get that in a second. Anyway, the reason I wanted to combine training slow and slow living into one episode here, one video, because they tie into each other pretty nicely. They have a nice bit of overlap. And because as I was getting my stuff together this morning to go for a long bike ride, you have to be, my asthma's kicking in. You have to be meticulous about not forgetting anything, doing all the right settings. Because it is 4 hours, you know. By the way, I often get, why is one aero bar lower than the other? And so there's a twist in it, and I actually go faster because the wind, just like on the tops of airplane wings, the tail ends, and on top of cars, they have a little tiny fins that causes rifling. It stabilizes the wind as it goes by. It's proven to save 15 watts. And I'm just kidding. I don't know, I crashed or something and it got stuck that way, and I've just never bothered to mess with it. Because I do like stacking my hands on top of each other a little bit. Instead of two blunt objects, you got one or 1.5. And if one's lower than the other, that kind of helps. But anyway, there's like charging things, making sure that you're telling people where you're going, getting all your gear out, the right gear out, making fuel for 4 hours. You got to be really particular with the numbers on that so you don't mess it up. And so it becomes a little bit like a Japanese tea ceremony of doing it slowly and doing it right. And let me turn around real quick right here. Caught me off guard. All right, we're back. Yeah, so to get everything ready for a 4-hour ride, filling up water bladders, you know, that could be a 1-hour process if you do it right, if you didn't do everything the night before. And actually it becomes like traditional, like it also gets you in the mood. It's pretty cool. Anything that has a ceremony to it, everything you do repeatedly becomes like ceremonial. Oh, we got a strong headwind. I thought riding uphill would help with this headwind. It's so strong, I'm actually going to stop recording and then come back here in a second. All right, got a tailwind. Right through a hilly little subdivision. Gotta go up, do a lollipop, and come down. The lollipop has a hill in it itself. So, yeah, when you do things ceremonially, it actually becomes a little bit fun to see how well you can do it and compare against how you did it before. It's one reason, like riding loops or riding routes that you're used to riding. It's really good because you can compare and then improve because you got something to compare against. But anyway, the downside of that is if I take my time and it's summer, and summer here is 8 months long, feels like, then I get a late start, quote unquote, and then it's brutal with heat. So that's an unfortunate one. And you do the ritualistic thing, getting your stuff together to swim. Any kind of workout in the morning on a weekday where you got to go to work, same thing. So I guess the ritual should be at night. But that's my point a little bit. The real point is there's real joy in doing things well. But then you have to say, I'm going to do less other stuff. So you have to start saying no because it takes more time to do it right. Well, up front, it takes more time. And one thing I've started doing lately that I find really fun is walking way more slowly. Now, I was in high school. There was a senior, I was a freshman, that walked really slowly. He was like a star on the football team. He was like really cool. And I was like, ooh, I want to be like that. So I started walking slowly. And turns out I really enjoy it. And I drive slowly. And use the momentum of the vehicle to crest hills and glide down. I put it in neutral and glide. And it's fun. You're like really into the thing that you're doing at the moment, right? It's very zen. Well, that ties into triathlon training. I would say after you start, you want to be successful at kind of like half Ironman distance and beyond. And there's a lot beyond that. There's Ultramans. Anyway, we're going to pick up wind for a little bit. So I'll be right back. All right, we are coming up on the infamous stop sign where I got a traffic ticket for running the stop sign on my bicycle. It was kind of comical because I had blinky lights and live tracking and all kinds of ridiculous stuff all over me. And yes, you should stop at the stop sign. I'm just saying, it was kind of ridiculous. Guys, he had me pass the stop sign, pulled over. And I said, I looked at him and this was 70 miles an hour at the time. It's 75 now. And I said something. It did not score me any points. And I was like, you're pulling me over for running a stop sign here. There's a state trooper too. When there's people speeding and probably smuggling all kinds of paraphernalia up and down Highway 6 between here and Houston, doing 80 miles an hour, and you're a speeding ticket. It's like, yep. I was like, all right, okay. Anyway, but what I wanted to point out was my little gadget seems to be working. I'm hardly picking up any cars on the freeway. That right there is a car actually coming up behind me. He's about to turn off. And it works pretty good. I'd say 90% of the time. It started going off when the highway was higher than the feeder road here on the side. But just on occasion. So I like it. What happens is on a round seat post, you turn the thing away from the freeway, right? So it won't pick up cars. But then if you forget, or maybe you turn it off because it's so annoying. I mean, look at all the cars that are going by. The problem is what if you forget to turn it back on? You know? Anyway. This is nice. I guess maybe we'll record on the uphills here. When they built the feeder roads all the way down to Navasota and beyond, so 10 miles, 12 miles. On one hand, I was pissed, you know, because it's a waste. But on the other hand, I was like, oh my God, I could qualify for Hawaii. Look at this, this is crazy. All the riding. This is the road I did my Ultraman on. I did a self-supported Ultraman. This road right here, I did 9 loops or something for 175 miles maybe, and I averaged almost 20 miles an hour on my tri-bike. That's day 2. Day 3 is a double marathon, which I ran around my neighborhood. Anyway. So slow living has a tie-in with ancient Zen and Taoism and stuff, where the world has a flow to it and you can't really rush things. And people that are unhappy, one of the reasons you could be unhappy or have anxiety is you're trying to do too much, which happens in today's society. Been going on for a long time. With kids, parents and kids think they need to be on 3 different kinds of sports teams. It's getting windy. I'll pick up here in a second. Okay, back uphill. You know, like when I was growing up, I was on swim team, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, school, basketball team. Did I say soccer? Anyway, in Kai's growing up, I tried to cut it back a little bit. Soccer, Scouts. There's triathlon, but they balance it pretty good with the kids. And then, as you got older, you kind of narrow down to one sport. And then you actually have time to study well, you know, all this stuff. So, in endurance training, once you get over a certain volume, you need to slow down and do things better instead of faster and more intensity. I just want to point out, I'm an hour into the ride, clear water bottle, so easy. I got my, I can easily tell I've done half of a 2-hour bottle. Right on the money. 1 hour and 1 minute. All right, we're about to take a right turn. It's gonna go uphill with the wind. So good audio quality, hopefully. So when you slow down, well, to go really long, well, to do long stuff, you need to train really long and just a large amount of volume. It helps. And it's basically a requirement. And how hard you should go is a little bit easier, or maybe quite a bit easier, depends on the person, than what you think you should, what you think easy is. And it works. I've been through the program. It was amazing. And then you sprinkle in a little bit of intervals kind of here and there. And because you're already doing so much volume, your body can't take much more. I'm talking very short, small intervals. And then you'll end up doing rides with your heart rate in the 120s, maybe 130s if you had a lot of caffeine. So crazy long distances without much effort. And when you slow down, if you're going fast and too hard, you're training your body to use carbs. And that's like rocket fuel. It's a very short burning fuel. And you're detraining your body's ability to convert fat to energy. So it's a lose-lose. Well, maybe win-lose. But anyway. But another nice thing is when you slow down, you're able to actually take on way more calories, and then your workout's better, and then you get faster because you're fueling correctly. You're taking care of the machine. You're turning your mitochondria into powerhouses, and you're getting in great workouts because you're really fueled. And you have to get your heart rate down low so you can digest the fuel. If your heart rate's too high, is that an international scout or something? Anyway, your heart rate's too high. And that drives your blood, which helps you digest food and fluids to your muscles and sweat. And you got problems. You might be heading into a headwind here. So one trick that people do is just to pedal easy and never stop pedaling. We got a headwind. I'll come back. Hold on. Stop recording. Hello. Oh. Oh. You gotta watch out, Chihuahua. Oh. Look, her fur's up on her back. That one's really cute. Don't try to bite me. I don't want to kick you. I want you to have fun. Good workout. Oh, that's close, buddy. Okay. Stop recording. All right, we're back. Gotta go past the dogs again. So the slower you go, the better you're building body fat, burning, and then you're like a diesel long haul trucker. And then you can do just about anything. And also the slower you go, you're reducing your chance for injuries, and then you get more volume because you're not injured as much. And then the thing is you have to have this ego check, but you learn to love it, kind of like the tea ceremony. You just don't do things fast because it is a law of nature. Wu Wei, W-U-W-E, is Taoism's law of nature that things happen no matter what. It's the art of not trying too hard because things just happen. Oh, horseback. That must be nice. Have a big field like that. I'm gonna show that to Emily. We could move to the subdivision and she could get a horse and ride around. A cute little house. But riding this road on my tri-bike with the 23 at 120 psi, holy crap, this was rough. Okay, here we go. Here's Dog Central again. The Chihuahua I don't want to hurt. Okay. He's smart enough. I think the first time. Do you think you can go? Oh! Oh! You're gonna get hurt, buddy. I ran over his back feet. Hopefully that'll teach him. Anyway. It's when they try to bite your ankle that's a big problem. That could have caused me to wreck. So they need to get that under control. All right. I paused the recording. It's a good example. That chaos made me lose my train of thought. So I'm like, I'm going to take care of myself, pause the recording, get my crap in order. It's where you don't, if somebody asks you something, you don't speak until you thought about what you're going to say. So it's a good example of that, but it takes discipline. Same thing, going out on group rides. My friend Mark, who's training for his, I think it's his first marathon. And he's sore. So what'd you do yesterday? And he's like, oh, I ran with my friends. And I'm like, yeah, that's bro. He's like, oh, we all run about the same speed. And I'm like, yeah, but was that speed what you needed to do today? Was that on your training plan to run tempo with your friends? No. But that's classic stuff right there. So with long distance endurance training, you really fall in love with the fact that slow training actually makes you fast. I like Lawrence Ten Dam's website, and maybe his Twitter handle is called like go live slow, ride fast, or something like that. But to ride fast is like, you have to be a high performer, right? To be fast, relatively speaking. But to be a high performer, it's got to be built with quality, or else you'll just be average performer, you know? And where's the quality come from? It's from doing things slower. I didn't do it here, but sometimes I'll stop my bike up here as I'm doing one of these slow turnarounds, because it doesn't really happen in a race as much as it does in training. So if I want realistic numbers, I'll pause it. Anyway. Oh, I got to climb ahead. Regionally, this is a climb. Okay, I'm going to pause and come back. We're going into a headwind. Stop recording. Okay, here's a nice example. I'm climbing this hill, but I'm only doing 230 to 250 watts because it's the quality of the training. You want as much time as possible in your zone 2. And for me, it's about this effort. That feels nice. And then for a really long ride, you haven't overcooked yourself. But when I go back and look at my graph, I've got 3 hours at between 200 and 250. And that kind of stuff will lift your FTP from 260 to 270 to 280. To 290 a couple years ago. I feel like it was a year ago, but I could be wrong. My FTP was 325 to 350. Just getting quality training in. Stop recording. So you do this enough, and you eventually, like over a period of a year, I became either top 5% or top 10% of Ironman triathletes in my age group. And my age group was like 35 to 40 or 40 to 45. And then, as an all-world athlete, when you go pick up your packet on the day before the race or 2 days before the race, you go, there's a whole separate line. And I was like, ooh, I'm special. But you like graduate up to this black belt level of endurance. But the thing is it's like really calm. You got there by training hard on something else, on discipline. Not even discipline. I mean, it's just like changing a habit. It's like really weird. Let's try this. Okay, pause it, and then it doesn't really grab that. And there we go again. Okay, we got a lot of headwinds, so I'm going to turn the camera off, and we'll be back in a second. So, what I really like is that long distance endurance is a thinking person's sport in multiple ways. And what enables it is being slower, gives you time to think. And then the other part I'll talk about in a second is it's a thinking person's sport, and there's so much more strategy besides just going as fast as you can. There's learning nutrition. And we're gonna have a dip up here, and they've just put down new gravel, so it's a little bumpy. It's like learning nutrition, paying attention to the wind direction, right? Like, let's say short cycling, but you just want to stay with the pack as long as you can, because the pack will help you block the wind. Okay, but long distance is like, there's times of the day where you want to put down power because of the wind direction, and you study the course and you look for the big hills, and this will be fun right here. Oh, they put down a lot of gravel. Go over here. A little sand. There was a John Deere tractor here a minute ago. I wonder if this is what he was doing. Ironman triathlon and ultra distance cycling and ultra marathoning attracts people with a higher IQ. I'm pretty positive of it. Because now it's problem solving and looking for patterns, and you enjoy it. It becomes a hobby. Because your physical ability can only be so good. But if you do research, you know, you could be like, oh, this is the right wheel, this is the right tire width. Should I go to tubeless? Are disc brakes going to make a difference? Wind tunnel testing and all that. But that's one type of thinking. But another thing that's really cool is going slower allows you to think, right? Just how like your blood's going to your muscles and you can't digest food. Blood's also not going to your brain and you can't think. You're called race brain, right? But out on a training ride, you can have shower thought after shower thought after shower thought of like, oh, things about work, things about family, things about finances, things about all kinds of stuff. And just be like, oh, yeah, I could do this a lot differently. Or I had this idea, oh, I should call this person. They're the ones that have might have a used car for my kid to go off to college, you know? Because your long workouts turn into thinking sessions. And then that's where the real beauty comes in. Now I gotta pick up some wind here and I'll be right back. Stop recording. All right, we got more of this riding down the feeder road. Very few false positives. There, that truck set it off. You guys hear it say it. That's about it. When I turn here, I'll get several. Yeah. Nice tailwind, cutting through a little subdivision here. So, one thing I like to say is happiness is being able to do two things at once. And if you can do a long workout and be clearing your mind and remembering and writing down on a list the things that you need to do because you're too busy thinking about them, your long ride has just turned into something very productive. So I swim for an hour and I do 5 sets. So about every 12 minutes I stop, take a sip of Gatorade, and if I have had a thought, my phone is right by the pool, and I write into my phone, I already have the note app open. Oh crap, your budget for work is due next week. I totally forgot. Or next week is your mom's birthday. And those things that you've forgotten are actually your to-do list for the day, or now they're written down, and then that frees up a whole lot of your brain to think about other things. It's pretty nice. Here's a 70-mile-an-hour highway with no shoulder. Upside of gravel tires as I can ride on this stuff on the right. I would not be riding on this on a road bike. I'd be out in that traffic lane right there. Or at least not on 23 or 25. I'm arguing with Kai about running 25 gator skins. I'm like, yeah, dude, but they're so slow. He goes, yeah, but I don't care. I don't get a flat. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. So I've learned on the bike, you've got to be really careful. And it's a good memory test, you know, to like, once you hit like 3 things to try to remember, you just keep recycling them through your head. Those 3 things every once in a while, and then you won't forget them. And then the next time you pull over for water or whatever, you write them down in your list of things to do. It's pretty nice. Let's hit this aero gravel here. Yeah. Nice. Like, oh, I should write down, like one that just occurred to me right now, I should write down what my PSI was on this ride when I started off. And then at the end of the ride, put it in my Strava so I remember. One thing that helps to be able to go slow is my routes. I know the mileage and I know the time, both. And I also know how to cut corners off of them. So if I'm feeling like too beat up, I'll go slower and then cut some corners off of them, and then I'll get the time in. I'll get a 4-hour ride, you know. But once you're training for like a, oh, I know what I run. I know my run route is 6 miles. One of them. And I don't care how long it takes me. It's so hot and everything. But I know that I've run 6 miles. You know, because different types of things work for different people about what motivates you, distance or time. Distance doesn't really matter until you get closer to, you know, you've got that ultimate goal. Let's pause the bike computer here. We're going to turn around, like a marathon or something like that. Or if you've never done an Ironman before, you should definitely go out and ride 112 miles. I actually do one of two things. I haven't done it forever because I've done a bunch of 100 stuff. But I'll either ride 111 and make it special on race day to ride 112. And that's if I got a lot of confidence I can do it. And then one thing you can do is ride 113. And then on race day, you're riding less than what you did training, but just a little bit. But it's a psychological thing. All right, I'm going to check out some gear, maybe put on some sunscreen, and I'll be right back. I just noticed this resembles kudzu. I grew up in the southeast. And how many miles have I gone? 27 and a half. And you learn to just quit caring about mileage. It's all by time. All by time. And then for a race, you look at people your age. My camera battery died. I might get a second battery. Let's see how much they are. And if you're an average rider, you look at, I'm using my phone now. You look at how long the race took somebody like you. So Gravel Locos, you know, I knew it was going to be between a 10 and 12 hour race, let's say. So you train for that. And then you can train anywhere and you're doing it right. You don't train for 150 miles because 150 miles could be a lot faster or a lot slower. You train by time based on race results. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I need to look into another battery and see. Anyway, this isn't kudzu, it's something else. But one last thing I wanted to say before we wrap this up that I thought was really funny was I was listening to a productivity podcast. This is what it says when it's out of battery. Come on, down here, down there. That's kind of cool. But anyway, the warning sign. When you're, so this wasn't some like productivity, like bro science. This was an actual legitimate author and maybe a PhD and like research and a consultant to major companies and done tons of work, like a really well-established productivity person. And for slow living, it was interesting. He said, you tell people, nowadays, you say, how about next week? I'll have it to you by next week. They want a report, you go by next week. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then what's funny, I love this. What's funny is usually by next week, the problem's no longer a problem anymore. They found the spreadsheet they were looking for themselves, and they like it better because it's theirs, and you didn't have to make one for them. Or the specs have changed, or yeah, somebody else did it, or yeah, like it's no longer an issue anymore. The person that you were going to do it for got fired. So it's like saying next week in today's world is actually a productivity tip. I thought that was so funny. And the other thing it does, though, going back to slow and thinking, is it gives you time on your weekend bike ride to think about that thing and like, how's the right way to do it, you know? And then you'll be like, oh wait, we've already got a spreadsheet, and somebody sent me, Eric sent me some information in an email or by Teams, and so I'll go get that. And then when you show up on Monday morning, you're like, oh, just da. And another thing that's really important is it gives you time to rehearse through your mind what you're going to do. And if you've done it in your mind once, you've already eliminated all the rough spots in your mind. And then when you actually do it, you do it way better and faster. All right, that is the end of this recording. Might be the end of the show. It's been fun. I still got nearly 2 hours to go, but I'm going to be going into a headwind anyway. So yeah, saving y'all from a whole lot of wind noise. So it's been fun. Put the cap on the camera, and I think we're done. All right, everybody stay safe out there. Work the uphills, cruise down hills, and keep the rubber side down. Out.